A big game, I think we'd all agree is probably the most exciting game this weekend. We did highlight it as a game we'd mostly try to catch and talk about. Was a big game in the Bundesliga, probably the game of the weekend, especially since Bayern lost, but we can also get to that later. It was Leverkusen versus Leipzig, which, just looking at it from a scoreline point of view, 3-2, late goals. I mean, there was drama. That was a fantastic game. I unfortunately couldn't get a reliable stream for it, so just on paper and from the highlights, the game looked phenomenal. But I want to know, play by play, how did you guys feel about the game watching it live?
It was utterly fucking fantastic, in my opinion. I thought Leverkusen were shit by their standards in the first half. I mean, they couldn't really do anything. They couldn't move the ball in their way. They couldn't break Leipzig down, and really Leipzig were doing everything they wanted when they had the ball. Leverkusen were really shaky at the back at times. Jonathan Tah picked up his 5th yellow card of the season, so he's going to be suspended for the next game. That already adds to Tapsoba and Kasunu, who are away at AFCON, and Frimpong got hurt in this game in the first half. So it was pretty shitty up until halftime, pretty much for Leverkusen. And then all hell broke loose in the second half. I mean, the second half of this game was fantastic. It was one of the best second halves I've seen all season. It was end-to-end. Leverkusen really, completely different from the outset of the second half. They scored within 90 seconds. Nathan Tella was ghosting at the back post. Nobody picks him up. And from there, it was just all Leverkusen. I thought they were all over Leipzig. They gave up a shitty goal off a poor corner. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're trying to do.
One of the worst corners you'll ever see.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been the worst corner I've ever seen in my lifetime. And they really, I mean, they shot themselves in the foot there. There's no better way to describe that. They respond right back. Another poor piece of defending from across, in my opinion, from Leipzig. And from there, it was all, I thought it was pretty much one-way traffic for Leverkusen. They really pushed on for the winner, and we saw that yet again for the second week in a row. They're showing their title-winning mentality for a team that's really never done that, and a lot of players who are not experienced in doing that. I mean, it's pretty outstanding, in my opinion, to do this, especially with the players they have out. So overall, I mean, we highlighted it as the game of the week for us for very good reason, and it very much lived up to that. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it, so much that I watched it twice, so that pretty much should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, and it was a game certainly worth watching twice. There was a lot of stuff that happened. I'm going to speak from a Leipzig point of view. Leipzig was the team I felt shot themselves in the foot because they came out in the first half like bats out of hell. Leverkusen couldn't breathe in the first half. I mean, it was Leipzig who was at home. They used every bit of their home field advantage. Xavi Simons pulled a page out of Dele Alli's book. What a goal he scored. Not a lot of people are talking about the signings of Xavi Simons and Openda. I think they've been unbelievable for Leipzig. 2 top-class transfers.
Xavi Simons is another loan player, like we mentioned earlier.
Right.
He would go back to PSG. So.
Yeah, but both players popping up with a goal, and they must feel hard done by. I mean, to give up 2 goals from corner kicks, I mean, come on, especially the one from Hincape right at the death. He was absolutely unmarked at the back post. I don't know how in a 2-2 game that you can let a runner to the back post like that go pretty much unchecked. And Leverkusen nicked it. It was a classic team who's contending for a title type of performance, in my opinion. You did highlight the players that they have out, some key players as well. I was super impressed with Leverkusen's ability to respond, but I was as equally impressed with Leipzig's ability to take the lead twice in this game. They stuck with the punches. It was just unfortunately a little too much time, and they couldn't hang on for a point.
Yeah, in this league, we've seen it so many times where
Yeah.
Bayern just runs away with it. But we've seen times where Dortmund come up and they'll have a good lead at midpoint of the season. But I don't think they ever had games like this. This is games where they drop points previously. So it's definitely encouraging to see if we finally get a new German champion.
Yeah.
But yeah, this team is ridiculous. They on paper the talent isn't really that great, but I think the sum of their parts and their system is fantastic. They're really good.
I have to say,
Yeah.
I think that was the craziest thing you said. I think on paper their team is fantastic. I think actually both of these teams, I like both of these teams. Again, like I mentioned, I love youth. This team, both of these squads have about only 3 players above the age of 25 in the starting 11 on each side, and that's unreal. And there are some incredible. I mean, like a lot of big clubs are after some of these young players. Frimpong is a unit. Wirtz is one of the most sought after players in Europe. Benjamin Sesko looks to be a serious potential for one of the best 9s if he can generate some form and improve. Openda, like you already said, Xavi Simons is unreal. I mean, even I don't know. This is just there's a couple of really good defenders.
Yeah,
dude, both of these teams are just sick, dude.
I think he just meant they're not quite household names yet, but right. I know what you mean.
They're decent players, and like Jonathan Tah is not meant to be a world class center back.
No.
And he's playing like one.
That's right.
Like Tapsoba's jumped around from smaller European teams, and now he's leading a really good back line here. So I mean, like it's a bunch of players that you put them next to Bayern's squad. Realistically, this team should get steamrolled 5-0 every game if you could just go on paper to paper. But when you put them, they're all really, really good players, and when they're put in a system to succeed and where they fit, then that's how you get a championship team out of this. I think Xabi Alonso has literally created a fantastic squad. He's getting more out of what the players actually are, which credit to him. But yeah, not to disrespect some of these players. Like there's some really good young talent here, but yeah, it's just they're definitely really impressive.
Yeah, and I thought a player who was impressive again was Grimaldo. Not just for the 2 assists because they were just from corner kicks, but his ability to link up play from left back where he is. He's really garnished so much attention, and I think that opens up a lot of space for a young player like Wirtz to pick up a ball in the half spaces, drop his shoulder, make a man miss, and then it's all downhill attacking from there. I was really impressed, and like we kind of say, I think the best teams are those teams that, despite having to rotate, they don't really see a drop in form, and it's something that we've said with some of these previous Dortmund teams. Sometimes a key injury will derail their seasons and their chances of contending for a title. I mean, Leverkusen have probably their biggest key player out in Victor Boniface, and to go away to Leipzig and still score 3 goals says everything you need to know about their system, their ability to keep continuing throughout. Going down twice in this game, I think says a lot about their mettle and a lot about their team. And obviously, they must feel pretty good looking at the table now with Bayern. Shock loss at home to Werder Bremen. It's not too many times they lose at home at the almighty Allianz Arena. I mean, they do have a game at hand. They can make it a 4-point gap, but I'm sure Leverkusen are licking their lips a 7-point gap. At the halfway point of the season, over the halfway point of the season now, must feel pretty good.
What's up, guys? If you love content like that, if you just love football, if you just love soccer, and you want to see more of our conversations, come check out the Son of a Pitch podcast channel on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all across different platforms. We will have weekly roundups of the weekend. We have all kinds of videos, discussions, breakdown, tactical analysis, all the good stuff. Come check us out and keep on being Son of a Pitch.